Hi everyone, thank you for watching Yo Soy Neighborhoods Fresno. We're here out of CMAX Studios, beautiful downtown Fresno. It's getting prettier and prettier every week with the Beautify Fresno campaign. Mayor Dyer, thank you for that. We're here today and we have Christian Haywood with us from Equus Business Solutions. That is the parent company of, as you know it, the common name is Workforce Connection. And the bottom line is Christian is the person that you would talk to. He's a business account specialist, and his primary goal is to help the people with between 16 and 24 years of age. So here we are, Christian Haywood. And today, give us a little background as to how you got into Workforce Connection. What made you apply for that?
Right. Well, so, brief history about what I do. So Edna and I actually met some time ago for some other business with video, but I've always been into helping out the community, and I had a buddy who actually joined the Workforce Connection team. And he works with the fatherhood program, because there's different sectors. There's the fatherhood program, and then there's just the adult program, and then I work with the young adult program. So I've always kind of had a knack for helping people out. And
so you're a community-oriented person.
Yes, community-oriented, exactly. Teaching the community and helping people to establish work and get a steady income. It was something that hit my heart pretty hard, just because I understand what it takes to achieve your dreams. You need to have a steady flow of income.
Well, before you got in production work, you had that same issue.
Yeah.
Give us a little situation you're talking about.
So I mean, it happened multiple times. I feel like so I grew up doing music, so I've always wanted to be a music producer. And one thing I found out pretty easily was how expensive everything is. The equipment, the programs, the software, the education, just learning how to even navigate the program. It costs money. And you know, a lot of people who grow up in, you know, impoverished neighborhoods or don't have a lack of resources, they live off of a dream. To work in the entertainment industry, when that's really not how it works. So you have to have either funding from record labels, or you have to have funding of some sort of your own. So a lot of people who want to get into that industry don't understand that those are the basic principles.
Takes a lot of effort, a lot of organization, a lot of time management,
right? And
you had to get exposed to business in some way, in some fashion, because when you're coming out of high school or get to 18 years old, you haven't been exposed to business very much. Right. And so that's, I could see that. And you probably went out and tried to find a job, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, luckily for me, I actually went into school. I went to college right after I graduated high school. Even though I knew, I was like, Mom, what I want to do is music. I want to be a rapper. I want to be a producer, right? So, but I still stuck with my guns and went to college. And through that experience, I still didn't really understand what I wanted to do outside of music.
So did you start with City College?
I went to a city college. I played football and then ended up transferring to the university. I went to the University of Oregon, go Ducks. And so I went to school there. And even then, you know, a lot of kids, especially nowadays, don't really understand what they want to do in college. And we're in a weird time where certain occupations don't really require a college degree, but it's about knowing what you want to do, right? So that brings me to the point of why I got involved with Equus and Workforce Connection, is because a lot of what we do is job readiness. We get people prepared for work. So essentially, they come into our program. A lot of the people that come in, you know, they have a lack of education, they have a lack of resources, and they come to us.
Well, their exposure.
Yeah,
their exposure to even dealing with an employer is limited, especially if you're like you said, coming out of college or starting college.
Right.
I mean, what have you been exposed to? McDonald's?
Right.
But that's not the reality. That's
Right.
an easy kind of walk-in type of job.
Right.
Because you don't have to have really any formal training.
Right. Right.
So that's probably what you hit right away.
Oh yeah, I mean definitely. Right when I graduated college, I was like, well, what do I do? You know, where do I go? You know, and I had worked for it was like a Korean restaurant, and I had jobs in college too, but I had some pretty decent jobs. So I mean, luckily I was exposed to some pretty good stuff. But like you said, exposure. But most people, you know, we have people who have college degrees that come into Workforce Connection, just because it doesn't matter if you go to college. If you don't have anything on your resume, you don't have any experience, employers just simply won't take you. They're just going to look at your resume and they're going to look at that college degree, but what does it actually guarantee them? It doesn't guarantee that you actually know what you're doing.
Well, the hard part is really, I used to work as an executive recruiter, and back in the 90s, we started using the identifier, which you scan all resumes in through a scanner, and it identifies if you have a particular job description. It only pulls up the resumes that click into that job description.
Wow.
So if they say civil engineer with the emphasis in bridges, it'll only pull up the resumes with that. Okay, that was our quick way of, because we'd get hundreds of resumes, so the secretary would just stick them in there, and it would sort out and separate the ones that we needed to look at more closely.
Right.
So I don't know if they told you that part.
As well.
Oh, that's
and
good.
And we help them structure their resumes, speaking of that. So, because you know, a lot of the people that come in, they don't really know how to build a resume, and they might have a lot of skills. That's something that could be hindering them and stopping them from getting jobs, if they don't know how to actually translate the skills that they've gained over the years onto a piece of paper.
So you kind of coach them through and get kind of pull out of their mind, you know, what have you done, and then you can translate it onto paper.
Right, because that's the difference a lot of the times between someone who gets the job and someone who doesn't. This person A might have all the experience, but person B might have a little bit of experience, but knows how to put the resume together. And then person A over here doesn't really know how to write it up, so person B ends up getting the job. But we want to equalize that. That's the goal.
Workforce Connection is like having a superstore for your employment and career needs. We have many services and resources to help our Fresno County residents effectively prepare for employment. There are 5 locations throughout the county. In Fresno, the Manchester Center, Coalinga and Mendota on the west side of Fresno County, and Reedley and Selma on the east side of Fresno County. What kind of services are offered through Workforce Connection? There are different levels of service available at our centers. Most of the people who visit a center use the basic career services. For this, there are no eligibility requirements to use these self-directed services. You will be provided with a Fresno Passport card to utilize the Resource Room services, and it is very important that you follow the Resource Room guidelines and dress code while visiting. The Resource Room is typically open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. The centers are closed on most major holidays. The Resource Room is available to the public to conduct job search and career exploration, and it's very important to keep the equipment in good working order and available for those needing these resources. You will see there are no food or drinks allowed in the Resource Room. This helps keep the equipment clean and ready to use. Children are not permitted in the Resource Room. Individuals who do not comply with the guidelines and/or dress code will not be able to use the Resource Room. The services are self-directed, and you will have access to the equipment you need to effectively job search or conduct career exploration. There are computers with internet access and Microsoft Office. You can apply for jobs, work on your resume or cover letters, research companies, conduct career exploration, etc. There are also phones, several dialing directly to the Unemployment Insurance Benefits Center, and others are available to contact employers. You will have access to printers, a copier, a fax for your job search efforts. The Resource Room is a great place to network, ask questions, and learn about other resources. There is a dress code for everyone visiting the office, and you will be expected to follow it every time you visit one of our centers. Who else has dress codes? That's right, employers do. I hope you will agree your personal appearance is very important when you are networking and looking for work. Workforce Connection is a business setting with a focus on providing you the tools for employment success. You may not be permitted to use the resources if you are not properly attired. If this presents a challenge for you, please ask the staff at the front desk for possible referrals to help you obtain appropriate attire. Many people who meet specific eligibility requirements will qualify for individualized career services through the Workforce Innovations and Opportunities Act grant funding to get assistance such as job readiness, career exploration and preparation, job search skills and assistance, job placement assistance, and employment retention services. Last but not least, for those who qualify, there may be a scholarship available to cover the cost of vocational training. There are specific eligibility requirements, including important details such as assessment results, matching your occupational goals. Now, let's get more details for each of these areas. Training services. Occupational skills training is highly sought after. Many individuals recognize the jobs of today and tomorrow take specific skills, education, certification, and/or licensure. Training might be done in the classroom or on the job, but make no mistake, the people who want to obtain and more importantly retain good employment will find a way to keep their skill sets and knowledge current and up to date. Job search assistance. You will always be responsible for conducting an effective job search, but imagine if you had a team of workforce professionals to help you. You will develop an individual employment plan with specific occupational goals and use proven job search techniques with the coaching and guidance of our team members to improve the effectiveness of your job search efforts. Some individuals may also qualify for supportive services to assist with overcoming employment barriers. Job placement assistance. As we work with our participants, we take special care to evaluate them through the eyes of an employer. We hold each individual to a high set of job readiness standards. So, when we do provide a job search or placement assistance, this job readiness preparation process ensures all participants are properly prepared for the world of work by meeting work-ready requirements for their occupational goal. This grant funding through the Workforce Innovations and Opportunities Act, also known as WIOA, is not an entitlement program. There are programs such as CalWorks or SSI that are available to all who meet the eligibility criteria. In this case, however, there are more than just the eligibility criteria to be considered prior to enrolling an individual. First, we do have to make certain an individual meets the eligibility criteria. We have personnel that will help you determine this with specific documentation. However, just to give you a few highlights, all participants will have to provide authorization to work documentation, selective service compliance, age, and with unemployed or underemployed adults, a priority of service is given to veterans, public assistance recipients, low income or basic skills deficient individuals. If you do not qualify for the WIOA services, we will do our best to direct you to the best resources to assist you with your job search. We will definitely have expectations of you if you decide to proceed with an enrollment for our individualized career services. You're investing in yourself and your success when you participate. You will be asked to be fully committed to completing the job readiness process, to be very diligent about seeking gainful employment, and ultimately to work hard at being a great employee so you'll have the best chance of remaining employed. This program also takes a lot of dedication. Again, it's very service-oriented, so you will attend a lot of scheduled appointments, workshops, and participate in specific job search activities. The great thing is, you won't have to do it alone. You will have a team of dedicated workforce professionals here to help.
So the process is they come in, they get set up through a workshop. I actually was just in a workshop just before this. So they go through a workshop, they take tests, and then based off of those tests, we get a better idea of what they're good at.
Let me stop you right there. So the audience will understand. The type of tests that you're giving them has to do with?
So it's almost like an analyzation. So it's a career exploration test. So we based off of their personalities and character traits and things that they're interested in, it'll generate like a list of different occupations that fit that type of person the best. And then of course, we don't just use that, we like to talk to them. That's when they get to me, by the time they get to me, I like to kind of pull out exactly what they want to do. And then based off of what they want to do, I'll go out and find the right employers, and I'll narrow them down to maybe 2 to 3 and say, hey, let's do an interview at one of these spots. And since my job is to go out and meet these employers, I place them in interviews, and we do what's called a work experience.
At the same time, when you're interviewing or speaking with that individual, you're kind of sizing up, how do they look, how they present themselves, the mannerisms, maybe the words that they use to express themselves. So you kind of coach them through that.
Oh yeah,
right?
Absolutely. That's one of the big things that we do prior. So, for instance, like I was saying earlier, they're in a workshop right now. So we actually have a group of kids in a workshop right now. So they're doing the test. They're about to receive their ONET scores. We're making sure they have IDs, valid IDs. We're making sure they have their social securities. And then usually when they're doing that, in that process, I'll go in and do a presentation and talk to them about their soft skills and how to treat an employer and how to treat these work experiences, because they have to treat it like it's a real job, like it's their job, because it is. But we're just helping them get there. We're helping them get that work experience so that way they can build their resumes. So we teach them things like cleanliness, hygiene, make sure you're brushing your teeth before work, wash your face, making sure that you're on time, punctuality, business professionalism, knowing how to say the right. We always say, even though you might have a really cool employer who might be like chill and laid back, still you go in there and you have a professional, almost like you have a professional mentality, almost like they're an older auntie or grandma. You talk to them in a professional manner, so that way you're not scaring people off, and you also don't come off a certain way, because it's all about longevity. It's about building those skills, so whatever you do there, they might refer you somewhere else. It's about just compound interest with your resume.
Well, you're building, if you're working with 16, 17, 18-year-olds, they're building those skills with that first employer.
Absolutely.
And then maybe they get a recommendation and they feel secure enough to go look for another job and say, okay, I'm done with $15 an hour, let's go for 20.
Yeah.
And then you have to build on that skill to say, oh, okay, by the way, now I know, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, what can I do for you today? And be more customer oriented in your mind, your respect level.
Right, absolutely. And we stress that a lot, because a lot of kids, they'll come in and they'll say, well, I want to do this, I want to own a barber shop. But you have to take steps to get there, and that's one of the biggest things that I like to stress to them is, hey, you have to crawl before you can walk, and then you have to walk before you can climb. So we all start. I always tell them we all started a job that we didn't want at first.
Right.
We all did something, but it's about taking away those skills. Even though it might be 2 skills that you take away from that job, at least you can apply that to something else. It's all about learning how to gain skills from a job and add value to where you're at, and treat it like it's your dream job.
Well, you're wanting to get your first job, get a recommendation for the next job.
Absolutely.
And that's why you want to keep peace with that. In that age group here in Fresno, because of the impoverished area and both parents being out of the home to work to just survive, they haven't had a lot of parental input, I would imagine.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I can relate with them too. My mom was a single mother, and then she was out of my life by the time I was 18, because she had passed. So, but luckily I learned a lot in those 18 years. You know what I mean? I was able to learn a lot. So I can relate to a lot of them, because some of them don't have parents at all. Some of them are homeless, and some of them, are basically like orphans. They've never really had. Those are huge with jobs these days, and part of the beauty of Workforce Connection is these kids are able to go get a job based off of the rapport that I've built, or one of my coworkers have built, or our company has built. they're like, workforce guy, yeah, send him in. He can start tomorrow. Whereas if he's putting in his resume or she's putting in her resume,
they go through the sorter.
Yeah, exactly. You're going through the sorter, exactly. You're like, but if I'm able to call, Susie Q, hey, we want somebody to work at your pet hospital. Okay, cool. Right away, send him in or send her in, and that's a awesome.
Oh, that's
thing.
beautiful because
It's beautiful, and that's where programs like this really help, though. Because it's a great resource. It's definitely something. I always tell them, I wish I would have known about this when I was younger, like something like this, like a workforce connection, because then you can use your time learning different skills and building your resume. And like I said, I did it backwards. I started a business, saw how it was, and I still run that business, but obviously, like you were saying, you got to learn skills from, you got to be able to apply those skills in different directions. Because even me, I'm learning things from working with them, and it's also they're helping each other out. It's a good balance.
Right. Well, the ultimate goal is that sometime when you get to 26, 27, you've reached that job that you really had in your dream that you fit into, and then that'll be a long-lasting career position.
Absolutely. And the cool thing is with the program is you get a little taste of those things first, because part of my job is I go and meet employers, and so say for instance, we work with a therapist. It takes a long time to become a therapist to have your own office, but with Workforce, we're able to place them in that environment, and they can see how things operate there, even if it's just like cleaning desks or being a receptionist. That's the type of things that the exposure, like you're saying, the exposure alone of being able to just be in that office, it's like, well, now I understand from a business standpoint how this works. So let me go and get back into school. And get to
so
this
they
point.
have an idea of what the decorum is.
Exactly.
How does that office operate? What are the expectations of that position? It's absolutely right. Right, and you're right. Now we have a whole different world. And really, it's nice there's someone like you.
So there's two different advisors that they have. They have the ACAs and the BAS. That's our nickname. So they go from the ACA, and then the ACA's helping them with things like that. They help them with, if they need to build their resume up, or they need to test better in order to get into a certain program. Like, hey, we need to get your reading score up or your math score up. They'll help them with that and help them get prepared.
Oh my goodness.
And then once they're all ready, then the ACA will send them over to us, the BAS, the business account specialist. So and what my job entails is I go out and I just meet business owners, and talk to them about our program and say, hey, would you be interested in having people come here for work experience, or would you be open to doing direct hire? And a lot of the businesses are like, oh, of course, I would love, like, basically, because we pay them. So we pay them $14 an hour, and then for the 100 or 200 hours, and then the business, all they have to do is just have them at the spot and teach them the skills, and so it's almost like a free internship for them.
Yeah,
so
that's a great program.
It's a community. You're also helping the youth get some skills, and you're also saving money, as a business. Right. So, and a lot of the times the goal is to get the business to really nurture that person until they're like, well, we need to hire them now. That's the goal. Right. We get somebody in a good situation. They're like, you know what, you've been here 200 hours. You've been kicking butt. We want to keep you here. Right. So that, and we've had a lot of those success stories. For instance, that brings up a great point. Sometimes our youth will come in and they don't have interview clothes. So we have a closet for them, so they can pick through the clothes. And if they don't have anything there for them, then we will basically give them almost like a stipend, like a certain amount of money. They'll go into Target or wherever. If they need like work shoes or whatever, they can go in, and then they'll pick out what they want, leave it at the customer service center, and then the ACA will go in there and pay for that with our company card.
Well, thank you very much for giving us this wonderful information. Yeah. Now you know where to find Christian.
Yeah.
the corner of Blackstone and Shields, Manchester Center. It has a new look. I like the colors a lot better. And it's by Caltrans. So if you're taking the bus, you just say Shields and Blackstone, and they drop you off. No fear. I mean, we're always doing a first time. Even at my wonderful young age, there's always a first time, and you have to just put yourself out there and give it a shot. And believe me, you're going to be surprised how many people are there willing to help you. Even in the background, you don't know that they're helping you, but they are. There are people out there. They want you to succeed. They want you to be successful in your life. So please go check out Christian at the Workforce Connection, Shields and Blackstone. So thank you for tuning in today. Yo soy Neighborhoods Fresno. Hopefully this was great information. We're here for all ages. This is our community service. Thank you very much for watching.